Welcome everybody. This is the second day of the virtual Study Abroad Fair. Today we're going to be highlighting our program in Cyprus, and we have Matt on the call here, and he'll be representing University of Nicosia Global Semesters. So for the first part of this event, Matt will be giving a presentation, and then I prepared some questions for him because Matt is actually an alumni of the program. So I have some questions for him to get kind of that student perspective of that study abroad experience. And by the way, my name is Vienna. I know my Zoom name tag says M2 Study Abroad, but my name is Vienna Lenarduzzi, and I'm a study abroad program specialist. I work over in the Pavlis Honors College. Pavlis is located in the Minerals and Materials building on the 7th floor. You don't have to be a student of the Pavlis Honors College in order to study abroad. But you should definitely consider looking at the Pavlis programs, and study abroad is one of the things you can do as part of the Pavlis program. So I'll let Matt take it away. Looks like he is sharing his screen. Can everybody see his screen? I know I can see it. If not, let us know. I'll be hanging out in the chat through the presentation. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll be done just about 5 o'clock. All right, thanks, Matt.
Awesome, thanks, Vienna. Hi, everybody. As Vienna said, my name is Matt Spores. I'm with the University of Nicosia. So I'm going to tell you a little bit today about Cyprus. So my first assumption when I talk to American students, the assumption is you don't know too much about Cyprus. Like Vienna said, I studied abroad in Cyprus myself. I really didn't know much about it until my school told me about it. So what I'll do is I'll start with a little bit of an introduction about Cyprus. I'll tell you a little bit about our university, a little bit about some of the study abroad options that we have, and some of the extras that we include on our study abroad trips as well. Right. And Vienna, you're still good to add the students, right? All right, so why Cyprus? So for those of you that don't know, Cyprus is a Mediterranean island to the south of Greece. Culturally, they are very Greek in Cyprus. They speak Greek. They eat Greek food. They drink coffee way late in the afternoon into the night, like the Greeks do. But again, it is a sovereign country. It's the safest country in the world for young adults to travel to, and that's a stat by the World Health Organization. And we get about 4 million tourist visitors every year onto the island, and we have about 11 million people come through our major airport, which is Larnaca, every year. The reason we get so many tourists compared to the million people that live on the island full time is probably twofold. One, it's beautiful weather. Cyprus is the sunniest country in Europe. It has about 330 days of sun every year. And secondly, it's known for its beaches. We have about 20% of Europe's top beaches on the island. Cyprus has a lot of cultural heritage as well, about 12,000 years. And the unique thing about the history of Cyprus is that it's the history of a lot of different groups of people. Again, it's a smaller island in the Mediterranean. So because of that, you know, whoever had conquered Europe or regions in the Mediterranean usually had Cyprus as well. So whenever I'm in Cyprus and I'm walking people around, I always use the line that it's like walking through like a living museum of culture. Some areas you'll visit in Cyprus will look very much like Greece. You'll see ancient amphitheaters that have been excavated, but then you'll see ancient Roman architecture. You'll see Venetian walls that are 600 years old, and inside those walls are Ottoman Empire homes that are 200, 300 years old. So there's a lot of history and a lot of culture in Cyprus. So the population of Cyprus, again, as I said, they speak Greek. However, it's a former British colony, and it was British all the way up until the 1960s. So because of that, the official stat is something like 81 or 82% of the population speaks English. But really, in the cities like Nicosia, where our university is located, all the other major cities and the beach towns, everybody speaks English. Like I said, I studied abroad there, and I still live there every summer. And I really don't know any Greek. You really don't need it to get around, which is nice if you don't know it. So again, that's a big factor for students as well. Nicosia was ranked a couple of years ago by the New York Times as the number 11 place to visit in the entire world. So that's a fun stat we like to say. It's starting to get some traction in the US for sure. You'll hear me talk a lot about the beautiful beaches and the weather, but Nicosia in particular is very cosmopolitan. The city itself is fairly wealthy. So, you know, again, there's about a population of 300,000 people in the capital. So there's a lot going on. It's very cosmopolitan. And the last little thing here is about the cost of living. So I'm from Pennsylvania, not a big city. And when I go to Cyprus, I budget as if I was just staying here. So cost of living, especially for a European capital, is very, very affordable. So a little bit more about Nicosia. As I mentioned, we have about a population of 300,000 people. About 10% of that population are college students. So by no means is it a college town. However, the city definitely caters to its university students because there's a lot of them. A lot of restaurants, a lot of nightlife, very vibrant social and sports scene. There's always something going on in Nicosia. This is another stat that was just released a few weeks ago. We were ranked #1 in Europe for small cities. So for human capital and lifestyle, essentially it's a very wealthy city with a lot of college students. So you can see some of the more known areas that we beat out. A little bit about our university. So again, the University of Nicosia, we're in the capital. We are the largest university in all of Southern Europe that teaches primarily in English. Every semester, there's over 400 courses taught in English. The university has about 13,000 full-time students. The breakdown of that is about 10,000 local students that we consider to be the Cypriot and the Greek students, as well as about 2,000 to 2,500 European study abroad students. Fun fact, the EU actually caps that number for us. We have so many European students that want to come to Cyprus and not enough Cypriots that leave to study abroad that they cap us at that number. And then we have about 400 to 500 US study abroad students every year doing semester or summer or short-term programs with us. Some of the programs that we're most known for: medicine, law, international relations, accounting is very big in Cyprus, architecture and digital currency and blockchain technologies. That last one is the kind of the stuff that's behind Bitcoin, right? So the actual coding behind Bitcoin. So we're #1 in the world for that, which is pretty fantastic. So if you're computer science and you're interested in digital currency, we're a great place to be for sure. Another facet of the university, and this was something for me that I really didn't consider when I was studying abroad, that this was just not something that impacted my decision about to go to Cyprus, but it probably made one of the biggest factors in my semester. And that's the fact that I got to take classes, obviously with some of the American students, but also with the local Cypriot and Greek students, and then the European study abroad students as well. So part of my semester, I was hanging out with the American students, and the second half, I was hanging out with students from all over Europe and all over Cyprus, and it was fantastic. So the fact that those students are also taking their courses in English, I think is really important. Our university actually is a private university. We predate our public university on the island by about a decade. So when we went for our accreditation in the 60s, the early 60s, we actually got our accreditation from the US. That was not meant for anything with study abroad, but it's certainly beneficial for us because the grading scale is an American 4.0. The fact that we're on a 4-year, semester-based program, very American, and in general, just the credits transfer back very easy to U.S. universities because of our structure at the university. Our campus is what they consider to be a modern urban campus. I could tell you from the first time I went to Cyprus up until the last time, it's constantly changing for the better. It was a smaller campus when I went there about 9 years ago, and it's slowly just taking over the neighborhood. It's interesting. It's fun to see it happen. And we have about 160 different degree programs in virtually every major. So I'll be happy to answer any questions about courses later on. This is a nice little picture of the neighborhood of where our university is located. These first 4 buildings down here are the first couple academic buildings that were built at the university. Now, kind of this whole neighborhood, if you could see my cursor, there are university buildings, and it's still intermingled with a little bit of residential neighborhood as well, which is nice. On the left, you could see our housing. It's the tallest building there on the left. There's actually 4 of those buildings now. They're all architecturally a little bit different, but again, this picture is only a year and a half, 2 years old, so it's constantly changing. I'm just going to touch on the different options that we have and some of the more popular majors that we have at the university that come to study abroad. So we're strong in the health sciences for sure. We do have a medical school at the university, so those hard sciences we're very strong in. Obviously, I know for you all, there's probably a couple of engineers here. So we do have a lot of engineering courses, and it's important to note that with our engineering programs, there is research and internship opportunities available at the university. And of course, humanities and social sciences we have at the university as well, performing arts. Again, business is a really popular one to take in Cyprus. So there's large American financial and accounting firms in Cyprus, Chicago-sized offices for like companies like Deloitte. So business is a very popular major to take in Cyprus because financial services and accounting are a big part of the GDP in Cyprus. Art and design, our architecture program is widely known. They win a lot of international awards. And then we also have some different summer opportunities as well. I'm going to assume, and if anybody is interested in any of the ones that I don't talk about, just let me know in the chat because I'll go over those. But from being at your school before, I'm going to talk about the ones that I think are the most relevant. So digital currency and blockchain technology is one of our newest summer programs. Again, as I mentioned, we've been ranked #1 in the world. We're the first university to publish our degrees on the blockchain. We're the first university to accept Bitcoin for tuition. So there's a lot of firsts for us with blockchain and with digital currency in general. So we are running a 4-week summer program that runs from early June until early July. It consists of one elective course, as you can see there, and then the main course, which is special topics in business focused on digital currency and blockchain technology. You do not need to have any sort of coding background to take this course as well. So again, we have engineering as well. I know I heard there was an engineering major, I believe. So the 2 courses, now this program runs a little bit longer. It's going to run from between 6 and 8 weeks next summer. So it's going to start in early June and in late July. And those 2 courses are fluid mechanics and engineering dynamics. I know engineering is another tough one to find abroad for the summer. So we're excited to run that one next summer. Again, we have accounting, marketing, IR, music. Nursing is another popular one. If anybody's interested in that, let me know. Physical therapy, pharmacy, and then the one I'll talk briefly about, because I know we've had students on this program in the past, is our pre-med program. So the pre-med program also runs for 4 weeks from early June until early July, and it consists of 7 credits. So the one course is called Management of Care. And essentially this course talks about the different healthcare systems in Europe versus the healthcare system in the US. Obviously very different, so it's a discussion-oriented course. And then you'll also get to talk about, for instance, what it's like delivering bad news to a family in Northern Europe versus in Southern Europe, because it is very different. So it's very discussion-oriented. The second course is probably a big reason students choose this program, and that's the 4-credit course, the special topics in clinical anatomy. So this course, you'll have a lecture and a lab component. So one day you might be talking about in lecture a laryngeal carcinoma, right? So cancer in the neck, how it forms, how they detect it, any sort of treatments. And then you'll actually get to go to our medical school's cadaver lab. And for that whole month, you'll work with a prosector on full body cadavers. And our medical school is very new. We're partnered with St. George's University in London, which is a very, very well-known and established medical college in the UK. It's the 2nd oldest. It's actually where Gray, who wrote Gray's Anatomy, was a professor. So our cadaver lab is very new. It's about 5 years old, 6 years old. So it's pretty state-of-the-art. This is probably our most popular summer option that we have. Some general information about all of our programs. They're all inclusive except for your food and your flight. So you're obviously with your program fees, your tuition is covered, your housing is covered. We take you on a tour of the island on weekends. Some of them are weekend trips for like 2 days and 3 nights, or 2 nights and 3 days. Some of them are just day trips. They're all included into your program. We have coordinators there that are staffed. We have a whole staff there of about 10 people. They're just there for our US students. So at any time of the day, if you need them, for instance, when I was a student, I got locked out of my apartment really late at night, and I had to like message the one coordinator and be like, can you help me find like a locksmith to get into my apartment? So they're there for you no matter what. Insurance is covered, orientation when you arrive into Cyprus. We have different like welcome and farewell dinners. We give you a local cell phone to use as well. So if you don't want to get an international plan, you don't have to. Obviously, we work with you up until the point that you get abroad. That's a lot of what I do. And of course, you get to have access to all of our alum as well. All right, so next I'll just talk briefly about the different locations that you get to travel for our tours. Just give me 1 second. I just want to check the chat just to see if anybody needed anything.
Yeah, I'm just throwing in a bunch of stuff.
Oh, okay, so you're good? Okay.
So we're good.
All right. So yeah, The first one is probably the most popular location that we visit for the students, and it is Ayia Napa. I always tell students when I talk to them, just Google it, because I could talk all day about Ayia Napa and how beautiful it is and how much fun it is. I would say you have to see it to believe it, but the pictures help do it justice. It is one of the most popular beach locations in all of Europe. It's a very, very popular spot. A lot of the tourists that I talk about are in Ayia Napa and its sister beach, Potaras. So this is a 2-night, 3-day trip. So you stay at a 4-star resort on the beach, on the coast, and there's so much to do in Ayia Napa. I mean, any outdoor activity you want to do, if you want to like rent ATVs, or if you want to obviously swim, scuba dive, snorkel, hike up different mountain trails, there's so much to do. There's also a very vibrant nightlife as well. There's a lot of famous DJs that play in Ayia Napa. It's a lot of fun. Students really love that trip. And then we'll also visit on the same trip Famagusta, which is a ghost town. Very brief history lesson. In the 70s, the Turkish invaded the northern part of Cyprus and annexed our most famous beach town, which is Famagusta. And they did this because they wanted this to be a bargaining chip for future discussions. Nobody ever budged, and it's still annexed to this day. So you get to go up and you get to see this beautiful water and this amazing coastline, and then this juxtaposition of like these falling hotels and this town that is slowly eroding away. Somebody recently was allowed in there, and they went into one of the hotels and they found the dinner plate of somebody staying in the hotel still on the table from 1970, I guess so 72 or 73. So it's really cool that you get to see this. Paphos is another beach town. It's a lot quieter, much more serene than Ayia Napa. It's known probably most for the mosaics that we take you to, and then Aphrodite's rock as well. So Greek mythology says that Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, was actually born from the sands of Cyprus. And that's a pretty nice testament, because the Greeks have a lot of beautiful islands, and the fact that they let their goddess of love and beauty be born, in Cyprus is pretty cool. But the Aphrodite's rock is the one on the left here. You're supposed to swim around it 3 times for good luck. Again, that's a weekend trip. Kyrenia is a northern port city. So we take you to this castle that looks like it should be in like every like horror movie. It's on this really, really steep cliff, and it's a very like tall and narrow castle. So you get to visit that. It's a really cool drive up to it. And then we take you to the Kyrenia Harbor, where you'll get to see Othello's Tower, and then get to hang out near the port, near the sea for a little bit as well. And then again, another juxtaposition is our trip to the Troodos Mountains. So you see a lot of blue and a lot of beaches in Cyprus, and not a lot of people think about green. But there is a really, really steep mountain range called the Troodos Mountains. And it's really cool. It's one of the few places in the world where you can go swimming, depending on the year, go swimming, and then climb the mountain range and actually go snowboarding or skiing. So this is a cool day trip we go on. And again, it's kind of a juxtaposition of the rest of Cyprus ecologically. Limassol is another trip we go on. This is the 2nd largest city in Cyprus. We get to visit a castle where Richard Lionheart was married. He's the only nobleman in UK to ever be married outside of the UK, so it's pretty cool. Kurion, so I mentioned before about the ancient Greek amphitheater that was excavated. You get to visit that. And then right next door to that, literally like steps away, is the ancient Roman bathhouse that's been excavated as well. Then we visit the marina, which is very new and very luxurious. It's very cool to see all the yachts parked there. And then we get to visit the old part of Limassol as well. And that, again, is a day trip. So our housing are all single studio apartments. The picture on the left is the one apartment building. Like I said, there's about 4 of those now. They're all structurally a little bit different, but amenity-wise, they're the same. So they're studios. So you have your own bedroom, bathroom. You have your own balcony. They're gorgeous. There is restaurants. There's grocery stores. There's a gym, all in the building. The grocery store downstairs will actually deliver your groceries up if you want to your room. It's very cool. And the neighborhood itself is, very close to everything. So again, 13,000 students. A lot of the students live in the neighborhood. So from the apartments to the university, it's about a 5-minute walk. And then from the apartments to everything else, like other grocery stores, coffee shops, other gyms, banks, restaurants, things like that, it's no more than a 5-minute walk away as well. So it's very convenient in your day-to-day life. You do not need to take public transportation, to get around. We do have independent travel. I'm not really sure what this is going to look like for the upcoming semesters, but it is very inexpensive to travel to other European locations. I traveled to a lot of these when I studied abroad, and my most expensive flight was about $200 round trip. I know it's an island, so I do like to touch on the fact that students do travel to other places as well. All right, so I think I'm right at my time as well. I'll play this video at the end if we have time, but for now I'll unshare my screen, and if anybody has any questions, we'll knock those out, or yeah, we'll go from there. All right. Okay, yeah, and if anybody had any questions in the chat, Vienna did outline some things about financial aid and things like that and paying for the program as well. But yeah, in the chat, again, if you have any questions or if you want me to touch on something that I didn't touch on, just let me know. Vienna, I think you're muted yet, Vienna.
I am. Anyway, I was saying that I think I'll just dive into the panel questions because there's chances that some of these questions are things that students might be thinking about right
Cool.
now.
That works.
How did studying abroad have an impact on your life post study abroad? So what has it done for you?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So I went to school in Pennsylvania, a smaller school, and I'm from Pennsylvania, so my exposure just to the world in general wasn't there. So I'll say just by nature, I definitely gained a lot of independence for sure, and just the knowledge that I could operate on my own, away from my comfort zone. I think that had a big impact. Study abroad had a big impact on that for sure. My maturity of being independent.
And how did you come to find this program in Cyprus?
Yeah, so actually it was pretty unique for me. So when I was looking to study abroad, I wanted to my first choice was to go to Egypt. And at the time, it just wasn't a great location. It wasn't really recommended for students to travel there. And my study abroad office, they knew what kind of courses I was looking for. And the Cyprus program was a newer program for my university. And they told me about it. And I literally went home and I started Googling it, and I kind of fell in love with Cyprus from there. And yeah, it was everything I expected it to be.
What type of courses did you take?
So I took some psychology courses. I was a psychology major. At the time, I was still on the fence. My university were able to have pre-med as a minor. I was still on the fence about that, so I didn't take any of my pre-med courses abroad. Psychology, I took a philosophy course. I took a linguistics course in Cyprus, which was really unique, which was really interesting. And then I also took an ethics course.
Okay. How were you able to make your study abroad work financially?
Yeah, so the Cyprus program in general too is a pretty cost-effective option. That was obviously something I looked at. So just by utilizing scholarships that I had, and then financial aid, it was pretty doable. And my university obviously was able to help. They kind of walked me through, getting a loan for like spending money and things like that. But with financial aid, it was pretty helpful, to get to Cyprus because again, it's a pretty cost-effective location.
Mm-hmm. Is UNIC still offering like any early bird discounts or scholarships?
Yeah, so we've actually extended our early deadline. So the list price for the semester right now, I believe, is $11,500. Now, if you apply before and you put your program deposit in before December, which is very late for the spring, then you get a $500 discount from the program fees. And then I know we also have affiliate discounts as well with MTU as well. So I believe that's also $500. So both of those could just be deducted right off. And then also just one other thing I'll say, just given the current landscape of everything, the unsurety, also if you apply for a semester, so like the spring semester, you have all the way up until pretty much like December to decide if you're gonna still do it. So any payment that you made, if for any reason, if you decide I'm not feeling comfortable about it, you're absolutely able to withdraw from that point. And obviously if we have to cancel the program before it starts, you'll also be refunded for everything.
Yeah, Michigan Tech will probably make decisions about our spring programs before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
on whether or not we can run them or not. So if anyone on the meeting is thinking about spring study abroad, you are more than welcome to submit the Michigan Tech application for that. And then like Matt said, they have extended their early deadline to basically right before, which is great. So thank you for doing that. And then if you are a first year student, the soonest you can study abroad is next summer. So you have to wait till after you complete your fall and spring semester before you can go. So maybe that's a summer or a fall that you can do. What advice would you give someone who is considering studying abroad?
It's definitely, you're definitely going to hit points where you're going to be super nervous and reconsider. That's just kind of the nature of it. It's a big decision, but it's always worth it. It's cliche, the cliche, and everybody says it in the field. It's study abroad, it changed my life, and it really did. And it was worth the kind of the anxiety beforehand and the unsurety. It was worth it 10 times more than the the unsurety ahead of time, for sure.
Yeah, and if anyone is looking for ways to enhance their resume, having any sort of international experience for like a month, a semester, a year, is really going to help you stand out at career fair. So you guys know that career fair is next week. It is virtual. If you happen to pull up your resume and you're like, ooh, I need some work. Well, once you start having these international experiences, you'll want to have an international experience section on your resume. So having the study abroad, maybe you're learning a language, so you definitely want to have that modern language listed on there. And then once you go to career fair, the recruiters will see that because it's a little bit different, to have on a resume. So it's going to help you stand apart. And
very few people study abroad. It's definitely less than 10%. So by nature, no matter where you go, you'll stand out. I will say, in my experience going to Cyprus, every interview I've ever had, it's been a conversation. Like, they want to know what Cyprus is and where it is and what it's like. And whenever you're able to speak comfortably and naturally about something, you kind of have an air of confidence. So I feel like that's always been like a strong suit, when I am interviewing, that it's something I can talk so comfortably about. A lot of great emotion behind it as well.
And you'll see too, when you look at job postings, a lot of the desirable skills or what have you are a lot of things you learn from studying abroad. So like critical thinking, problem solving, communicating with people from different cultures, adaptability, flexibility. So those are all things you'll probably learn in like week 1 of studying abroad. So again, just another way to enhance your resume. And then what did you learn about yourself personally? You maybe touched on that a little bit, but are there other things that you think you've learned personally from having a study abroad experience?
I feel like that there's things you could always like improve on too. I thought before I studied abroad, I was a very, very good communicator. Well, it's a little bit different when you start communicating with people that are from a different culture as well, right? I mean, there's different things, ways to say things, and just like things you need to be like careful about what you're talking about, right? Like, there's always cultural sensitivities for things. And, I think that's something that I continue to like now, at least I'm consciously aware of it. Whereas beforehand, it was something I never even would have thought about. And, that that's not great. So yeah, I think that's something that it showed a weakness, but it's something that could always be worked on. And it's something, like I said, I was blind to beforehand. So yeah.
Any questions from the audience before we can watch this video? I was going to also ask Matt to show us around on their website. It is new. It's beautiful. But are there any questions? Feel free to mute yourself or throw it in the chat. I'll take a pause here in case anybody is typing. I wish there was like a way to like see, like when you're texting, typing. I'll have to submit that to the Zoom suggestion box.
And then I will say, before I like show the video and show you around the website, if anybody does have any questions, I'll make sure you all have my contact information. I could talk about Cyprus till I'm blue in the face. So really reach out to me anytime, because it's very enjoyable. But I'll go ahead.
I visited this location a few years ago, so I can also speak about my site visit too.
Awesome. All right, I'll go ahead and I'll just share my screen. So this video, while I'm sharing this, was actually put together by the Cyprus tourism industry. So I just think it's a really beautiful video, and it's like a very hopeful video. So. So that was the video that the like I said, the tourism industry actually put out in Cyprus. So this is our website. This is actually just released, our new website this week. So it's fairly easy to use. For those of you, you could search for programs by your name. So if you know exactly what program you're looking for, there's a nice search bar for it. There's some good facts. Again, you'll see a lot of the same facts that I have in the presentation here. And then again, if you're looking for specific programs, you could just search by this. So say, for instance, you're looking for the semester in Cyprus health science program. It'll pull up right here with a lot of information, give you an overview. You could search by courses here. We talk about the excursions. Let me just click on the curriculum here. So the curriculum is actually listed here. The spring 2021 courses aren't listed yet. They'll be coming out probably in the next 4 weeks or so. So you could search by those for the course schedule, and it'll also be listed right here, courses offered in spring 2021. And we do have it. Again, we list the excursions here. Everywhere that we go, you'll see a lot of different pictures as well. Again, a lot of the things that I've talked about, we do have listed on the site. So again, the housing, the dates for the programs, things of that nature. It's a lot cleaner than it used to be. So it's fairly self-explanatory. Obviously, if you are looking to study abroad at the university for whichever program, the first thing you'll want to do is actually apply, at MTU. So you get all that squared away, and then you'll actually go ahead onto here. And whenever you want to start an application, all that you need to do is insert your information right here, and it'll create the application for you. It's a pretty simple site. You can also download our student guide here as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's fairly simple. Like I said, the link is just globalsemesters.com. So I'm sharing my screen here. Going back. All right.
Great, thank you.
Awesome.
Last chance for questions. We still have Matt for 20 minutes. So questions for me, for Matt. The session is for you.
Do you have any weird situations where you have to speak Greek or something?
I never have, no, and I've spent over a year total on the island. Again, the locations where students spend most of their time, like Nicosia, even the difference now, again, from when I first went to Cyprus, like when I first went to Cyprus in 2011, again, everybody spoke English. The taxi drivers, for whatever reason, I mean, it wasn't great. Like their English was okay, so it was a little bit hard to communicate. Even now, like when I go back, it's, I guess, as everybody ages up and English has been, more widely used, everybody speaks it really, really fluently. I actually think it's funny. One of the things is, like, even if you know Greek and you're an American, they'll see you and they'll be like, oh, hi, how are you? Like, it's like instant. Like, they'll recognize it instantly that, they're going to switch over to English. Yeah. Very rarely do people come up to me now and like start speaking Greek. I don't know. It's very obvious, I guess. But yeah, like I said, the taxis. Now, if you go on your own and you're exploring, some like smaller villages, like for instance, the one place I did go as a student where I kind of had to like use my hands and explain things was Omedos. So Omedos in Cyprus is really bad at marketing some of their commodities. So the wine grapes in Cyprus are actually the champagne grapes that are used in champagne. They've been grown in Cyprus actually before France. So we went and visited that region. It's a smaller little community with just tons of vineyards. There it was there was definitely some people I ran into that didn't speak, English, fluently. But again, your day-to-day life, everybody speaks English.
Yeah, when I was there, I went to the grocery store kind of further away from the housing, and there was a woman working there, and she, I think, was trying to talk with me, or I was talking with her, but either way, I knew she didn't speak English, so I was like, I'm just browsing, looking around. But everywhere else I went on my own, I was able to order coffee. Every morning there was a little coffee stand I would walk to, and there was another grocery store that's literally a parking lot to a parking lot distance. It's so close. And then even we went downtown sometimes, everyone who worked in the the stores, they spoke English. So it was fine. And everything is so affordable too. Like they use the euro there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So at that time the euro was pretty close to the dollar, if not a little bit less. And things are just overall inexpensive.
Yeah.
Like bottles of water. I can't
Grocery.
remember if we can drink the water in the faucet. I don't recall.
Yes.
And the housing, like Matt was talking about, the newer apartment. Wow, I wish I would have been able to stay there,
Yeah.
but where I did stay was really nice. It was air conditioned and it was fully furnished. And there was a laundry machine, and you would dry your clothes outside because it was hot enough. I was there in July. It was like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It was hot. And the classrooms are air conditioned too, I believe.
Absolutely. Yeah, the whole university is.
The cafeteria, oh my gosh, like I was surprised. Like you go to the cafeteria for lunch and they had like this beautiful seafood and like chicken and steak and like pasta. Is nothing like Wad's cafeteria, I'll tell you guys that. It was amazing. Like I was like, this is like a 5-star restaurant and a college cafeteria. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, the food is very, I think the food is very good in Cyprus too. Everything's very fresh, I think, from the food. Groceries in general are pretty inexpensive, but like the fruits and vegetables are just incredibly inexpensive. I'm not sure why, because I don't know if they grow all of the vegetables and fruits in Cyprus, but it might be like government subsidized, and they're all so good. Yeah, that's definitely something when I go back to Cyprus I look forward to, is going grocery shopping.
Yes, and they have a bakery like that's right down the street that Matt like to show.
4-hour bakery. Yeah. They make the best chocolate chip cookies in the world.
So if you're someone who is a foodie and someone who likes Greek culture and likes to be by the water like I do, this is a great place. It's not too like out of your comfort zone, so you still have that English speaking around you, but it's just the right amount of like different to like not feel like you're in the U.S.
Yeah. I can honestly say you don't feel like you're in the U.S., but you have some of the, some of the things that are a little bit more overwhelming for students. Not being able to communicate. You just don't have that. I think it makes the transition easier. When it's easy to communicate with people
and Wi-Fi. So there's Wi-Fi on campus. There's Wi-Fi in the living, I'm assuming.
There's Wi-Fi at the apartments. There's Wi-Fi at a lot of like the shops, like around the university. Some of the beaches have Wi-Fi. Actually, a lot of the beaches have Wi-Fi. So yeah, it's very easy to connect.
And you probably would want to get some sort of international phone plan when you're there, so you can communicate, with your friends in country and your friends back home. But you're gonna make new friends too, guarantee it.
Definitely, yeah. Cypriots are very, very hospitable for sure.
Any other questions? Well, I'm going to throw one more thing in the chat just so it's at the bottom here. It's a flyer for our upcoming events. So today we will have a session with USAC. That'll be at 5:30, and then we have a session with Semester at Sea and ISA tomorrow. And the format will be similar to this. We will have some student alumni on those calls. So if you have the time, it'd be great for you to attend those. I do have everyone's email address, so I will pass that along to Matt so he can forward you some more information. And then Matt, if you want to throw your email or contact in the chat so students can also reach out to you directly. And then I can be reached at studyabroad at mtu.edu. Any other questions you guys may have later on. So if you are thinking about studying abroad spring 2021, you can certainly apply. We just don't know where we're going to be at with COVID. Come November is probably when we're going to start making decisions about our spring 2021. But our deadline to apply is October 15th. If you'd like to go next summer, March 1st will be the deadline, and then a fall program will be April 1st deadline. So one of the things that takes the most time to plan is figuring out your courses. So you don't need to have that figured out at time of application. It will come later. but you should start maybe looking at the Global Semester's website to see what programs make sense for you for courses. And then I will work with you directly to pick out your classes, and we'll collaborate with your academic advisor as well. So just know that you don't have to figure it out right away, but it will come later on. Any other questions? All right, I think we can wrap up. Thank you, Matt. This was great and informative as always. Thank you everyone for joining us. Go grab some dinner, and maybe I'll see you again at 5:30.
Good to see everybody. Bye.
Bye.